Welcome back to the Where's the Growth podcast. I'm your host, Ant Smith, and today we're going to be talking about managing stress. Let's jump right in. All right, so this is an interesting topic, and I always find it funny when talking about managing stress, and when I look at celebrities and even just have regular conversations with people, it's funny because everyone is always like, they got the good life. We always see the end goal and we're like, it must be nice to be rich and famous and have all this money and not have any problems or anything like that. But the reality is nobody becomes successful and has the things that they want in life without going through stress and navigating stress. And whether you decide to chase your dreams or whether you decide to sign up for the blueprint somebody else is mapping out for you, there's going to be a level of stress that you got to navigate and deal with, regardless of if you choose to walk on your own path or if you choose to walk on the path that somebody lays out for you. So I always find it funny when conversations come up with friends and everyone's like, work's got me stressed. I'm navigating like personal life and relationships are hard and being an adult is hard and just life is hard. And I'm just like, well, the alternative is it's going to be hard even if you pursue what you want to do. So you got to pick your poison, right? And I feel like we fall into this bubble of like, all right, we're just going to do what people have told us and the stress that comes with that sucks. And we're just going to grind through it and have this like toxic resiliency where we just suck it up and go through it. But at the end of the day, we got a choice what kind of stress we want to endure and what we want at the end of going through whatever that stress that we sign up for actually is. So I wanted to talk today about just managing stress both professionally and personally, because we have a choice on the stress. We have a choice on what path we go down to, because regardless of what path we go through, there's going to be a level of stress that comes with it. And I'll use my example of my previous work experience with Enterprise Rent-A-Car of, I was washing cars in a three-piece suit. And each day, anybody that worked at Enterprise knows it's very stressful because sometimes you could have 22 reservations on your books and you only got 5 cars. So how am I going to manufacture all of these cars to fulfill all these reservations? That can be super stressful. So you're constantly throughout the day reaching out to other branches, seeing if you can borrow cars, reaching out to your area manager, seeing if there's any drivers so that they can bring you cars so that you can fulfill all the reservations you have for that day. But needless to say, like, it's stressful. And for me, when I was going through that time period of my work experience, it was always stressful because you somehow manage to get through the day with those 22 reservations, starting the day off with 5 cars. You get all the cars you need for all of the reservations you have, and then the next day comes and you're in the same boat. You're closing the day with 2 cars on your lot with another 30 reservations for the following day, and you don't have all the cars you need to facilitate the reservations you have. So part of that is you got to have some time management as well as inventory management to reach out to your clients beforehand, let them know, hey, your cars should be here by X time. Wanted to give you a heads up. If we don't have your car currently, we'll reach out as soon as we have the vehicle, but you got to manage the reservations accordingly. Now, in saying that, because it was a 7-day operation for me, like, I couldn't turn that off. So it was super draining for me leaving my work day that started at, we'll call it 7 o'clock, starts a work day at 7 o'clock, and let's say it ends at 6:30. By the time I get home, I don't have any energy left to do anything besides eat, shower, and sleep. So managing that book of business of just getting cars and fulfilling all the reservations was super stressful. And it got to the point where like my body was telling me like, yo bro, you need sleep. You need sleep. Like, you need a rest day, you need a recovery day. And I've never been someone who's been like big on vacations or anything like that. So I always have a lot of like PTO and sick time and things like that, because I love the challenge of work. I love creating and seeing things come to fruition. So like the actual journey and like the work that goes into it is never really like a daunting task, or I never really feel like I need a break from it. Now, in saying that, I did feel like I was getting overwhelmed. My body was getting tired. I had aches and pains, and I just was feeling drained at the end of my days. So like I knew that wasn't going to be sustainable enduring that for 3 years. So I knew that something was going to have to give. It was either going to be a transition within the company, or it was going to have to be a career pivot altogether. But how I managed to manage that stress during that time period is I would rely and lean on my peers and my team and my superiors to make sure I had the support and communicate like where I'm at with managing the chaos of the day. So I'd reach out to different branches to see if they had vehicles. And I think it comes down to too, like another episode that I referenced regarding relationships, where like you've got to make sure to be able to manage stress, you got to make sure that you're cultivating and maintaining the relationships with those people that will be able to help you navigate those stressful times and situations. I know a lot of people feel like they're navigating life alone and they don't feel like they have people in their corner that they can reach out to speak, vent, just an ear to listen. And that can be a lot, feeling like you got the weight of the world on your shoulders, whether that's professionally or personally, and you don't feel like you have anybody in your corner that can pick up the phone, listen to you, and just hear you out and allow you to just be human for however long it takes for you to just get whatever you're going through out. And if you're looking for advice, be open to receiving it, or if you're just looking to communicate and express what you're feeling, not for any advice to come as a result of it, but simply just to have a venting session where you can just unload, let it be, and then move forward. I think I personally as well have to be very clear on what I'm looking for from the individual that you reach out to communicate with, and what you're looking to get from them, how you need them to show up in that moment. I feel like a lot of times when we do reach out to someone with the hopes of simply just venting and getting things off our chest, oftentimes we're not looking for a solution to be provided to us from them. But if we don't clearly communicate that, we can't fault that individual on the other end of the phone for providing us a solution if we haven't informed them of the role that we need them to play in that situation. So just circling back to the whole method of managing that stress in the professional workplace, I feel like it is something that we've got to get better at communicating. And I know that I've gotten way better over the years, but it is something that I still need to get better at. Where that showed up for me this week is every week we kind of outline, what our goals and responsibilities and things that we're looking to accomplish throughout the week. And it can be overwhelming having a calendar filled with anywhere from 8 to 16 appointments in a week and trying to reach the goals that you have set for each of those meetings. And this is where I really rely on my manager and my regional to really help guide me and give me some of that wisdom that they have when navigating the stress of the job. And I feel like it's imperative for every employee to be able to have either one or two superiors that they can reach out to in confidence to ask and seek for that guidance, or simply to, one of my colleagues calls it, and have an Amsterdam moment, where that Amsterdam moment is simply just, I don't need any guidance here, I don't need any solutions, but I just need this next 5 minutes for me to just unload what I'm feeling, what I'm experiencing, be human for a second, and then I can snap back in, but I just need this time to just unload and unleash what I'm going through and what my experience is. And I feel like it's also harder to do that in your individual relationships because there's a fear of, well, I don't know how my partner is going to respond to this. I don't know if it's going to be received the way that I'm intending on delivering it. I don't know if my partner is going to be receptive to hearing this Amsterdam moment of mine, because like what I'm feeling might be a direct correlation to something that was said earlier in the week, or an argument or a fight that we had earlier. So I think it's important that if these are struggles that we're all navigating, because I know I personally can say that I navigate these obstacles and these roadblocks both professionally and personally with trying to communicate to my manager, trying to communicate to my girlfriend, trying to communicate to my parents, frustrations that I have internally that might be a byproduct of conversations that I've had with any one of those individuals. I know I have to do a better job of clearly communicating, hey, if I do need to have this Amsterdam moment where I'm just simply unloading my emotions and not necessarily looking for a response or feedback or a solution from the recipient, I need to be better at communicating that. I have gotten a lot better in doing so, and as a result, it's strengthened the relationships that I have, both professionally and personally, because now I've set the environment where if I can communicate what I need in this moment and what this time that we're connecting for is going to be, I know that it's going to be well received, and the recipient on the other end knows how I need them to show up and what role they need to play in this moment. Sometimes I do need counsel and feedback after expressing my frustrations emotionally, both personally and professionally. Sometimes I do need that feedback, but I need to preface that conversation and that time and that environment by saying, hey, this is what I'm needing from you, and this is how I would like you to show up in this moment. Is this something you have the capacity to do in this moment? And if not, is there time that we can connect so we can have this kind of conversation where both of us will be in the right state of mind to both communicate and receive the message that I'm trying to convey? And if we do need to connect at a later time, that's perfectly fine. But I think where we struggle is that we never are given any counsel or guidance on how to actually set the stage to have that moment of connection and communication. Now, there will be some clear indicators as well when you're navigating stress regarding like body aches. I mentioned, like, my body was drained. I didn't have any energy to do anything else when I was working at Enterprise. So there were clear indications of when I was experiencing stress that I needed to listen to my body, take a moment and just do nothing, because I needed that rest and recovery. What I've noticed is in the pandemic, from what I've seen, we've gotten a lot better at being able to actually identify regarding like mental health and just overall unplugging. We've gotten a lot better in communicating that, not only to employers and to partners, but it's still not something that we are avidly communicating and avidly speaking about in the professional environment. And I think it's super important, especially as we see mental health issues rising, we see depression and anxiety rising in the world we live in today. I think it's imperative that we do have some candid conversations about knowing when to unplug, knowing how to communicate stress, knowing how to set the stage to have open and transparent conversations, both professionally and personally. Now, one thing I'll say is that it's been a learning journey for my personal life with both my family as well as my girlfriend to get to a place now where I know how to communicate what I need in that moment and how I need them to show up, but I was not always at that point. There would be some times where I would simply just, if I was heated and my emotions were taking over me, yeah, you're gonna hear it. And there's not gonna be a filter in communicating that. So part of the growth process and journey is identifying where are my areas of opportunity when it comes to giving feedback, receiving feedback, and simply just communicating expressively and openly how I'm feeling and what I need from the other person in this moment. And a big struggle, I feel like, is that we just don't do that, period. It's not something that we're taught in school. It's not something that we speak about in our relationships. It's not something that if you as an individual are seeking to get better at or seeking guidance on how to do, it's something that we don't place any importance on. And I think that it's been at the detriment of a lot of relationships, and especially professionally for a lot of entrepreneurs, it's at the detriment of a lot of business opportunities, that because people don't know how to set that stage or provide feedback in a way that will be received in a positive manner, a lot of opportunities are lost and missed as a result of that. And I think that also translates into the personal aspect, because if I can't set that stage and make this environment conducive for us to communicate and talk about these things, especially having tough conversations, there's a lot of animosity that could then be created in those situations. So, I mean, I would challenge you to think about if there are any areas where you feel like you want to have very open, candid conversations or simply just express your emotions. The question I'll ask you is, what are you doing, or how do you set the stage so that the recipient on the other end is in a place to either receive and simply just hear what you're saying, or if you're looking for a solution, how do you set the stage so that your recipient can play that role of listening first before providing you a solution? A big issue that I've seen is that we always give unsolicited feedback, and I'm very guilty of this. If somebody is confiding in me and trying to just simply be human and express how they're feeling to me, I have been so quick to provide a solution to solve the problem that I haven't actively listened to the problem at hand that they are simply just trying to communicate to me. And I think by default, we're problem solvers, especially as men. We just simply want to give a solution to the problem that we're hearing. And 9 times out of 10, especially with communicating with my partner, I'll say specifically, they're not looking for a solution. They're just looking to be heard and listened to. So as a male, I'll actually challenge all the guys listening to this to ask prior to having these conversations with your partner. Ask, what role do you need me to play in this? Are you looking for a solution and feedback, or are you simply having an Amsterdam moment where you're just looking to communicate and express how you're feeling? And with that being said, that's all I got this week. I love y'all. I'll see y'all next Sunday. Stay blessed.